this is the unicorn design. It's kind of a spring unicorn design, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm starting with this split cake. You can basically do any split cake you want, whatever your favorite color is. I kind of switch it up. Sometimes I do rainbow. So with this, I use a 1-inch flat brush. I'm going to use my Squishy Doodle one. So I got lots of paint on there, and I always just kind of do a rainbow. I always leave the space where I know I'm going to put the ears. So I know in the middle there, I'm going to have that. I leave a space for the ears, and then I always just kind of swoop down beside the eyes. I've seen people do other shapes of this where they kind of like, I don't know, maybe make the shape of a 3, and it looks cool, but I like this shape, so it's what I always go for. So I'm done with this cake and my 1-inch flat brush. And the next brush I will use is going to be a 5/8. So this 5/8 flat brush as well, also a Squishy Doodle GTX brush. And then the next part I do is the ears. So I always go in, I have a split cake made that's just white and pink. This one's a little dirty, but it will do the same trick. So I try to get a lot of white on there and a little bit of pink. For the ears, I kind of just do like 2 swoops down. The paint's not wet enough for this board. And there's like 1 swoop and 2 swoops. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. You'll notice like the pink and white are really blending together, and that's okay because I kind of like the gradient of that, and I go over after in another brush to make that pop. So the next step is I leave out my 5/8 brush, and I'm going to do the horn, and I've done the horn both ways with stencil, and I'm trying to get out of the stencil and do it with my brush, but I have different unicorn horn stencils. This is one of them. Anyways, you know what a unicorn horn stencil looks like. I usually do that, bop it on, but I'm going to show you another way that I've been doing it. So I'm just going to use white because I usually do my unicorn horns white anyways. So I'm just going to load up the 5/8 with some paint. So I always give myself a guide of where I kind of want the horn to be. I want it to be there. And I do one of these swoopy things. I don't know what you want to call this shape. Like a little swoop. And sometimes they look better than this time, but there's a unicorn horn. So I'm done with my 5/8. I've got the base down, and now I can start adding all the details. So what I usually do next is go in with a flower, a petal brush. So I always double dip my flowers. I start with a white base. I've been told it's harder to do double dip flowers on a practice board because they don't blend as nicely, but we're gonna do it anyways. So I get lots of nice white paint on there. I always go and rub the tip off, whether it be on a sponge, just like a sponge that I have for that, or a paper towel or whatever, before I go into another color. And with this unicorn, we picked pink flowers, so let's do that. So I'm just gonna go, I can even take this white, add some pink to the tip where I kind of wiped it off. Still gonna muddy up your cake a bit, but whenever I get home from a gig, I always clean the paints. And then I usually start by doing a flower in the middle. Of course, these boards don't like paint. Just gonna reload that because it didn't work. All right, so I start with flower in the middle, goes there, and then I usually put a flower right under the eye, kind of on the cheekbone. Like I kind of think of it where I would put my blush in the morning. I like to put a little flower there. And again, I find nothing shows up on a practice board, so don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't want to work for you. In real life, these flowers, we all know, look way more beautiful. All right, so I do 2 on the cheekbones, and I'm just gonna add a couple. I usually do like the 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, kind of going along with the face. 1, 2, 3, going along with the face. And then for the petals, I always pick a kind of the same idea. I pick up a lighter color. This one's Firefly, GPX. Nice bright green. And I add some darker green to it. Same with the double dip flowers, just like a double dip flower, but it's green, so it's a leaf. And I'm gonna go in there and do the same. I just kind of add 2 petals wherever there's a space. And then for the top, I'm gonna add 3 more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then finally, once all your flowers and everything is done, I just go in with like my favorite liner brush. This one's a Doodle number 4, Squishy Doodle number 4. I'm just gonna pick white. White's a good color. And I start with the ears. Go around. I like to do a little curly inside. I just think it's cute. I usually outline the whole ear. I like to usually add some teardrops in here just to spice it up a little bit. You can outline your horn if you want to give it a little bit of definition. Usually just kind of outline the top. I usually add the center dots of my flowers with the white. Boom, boom. And then you can also add whatever little embellishments everywhere else. Usually some teardrops if I find I have some space down here. Teardrops with some space down there. Little dots and stuff just to spice it up where I have space. And then boom, there's a beautiful spring unicorn. Obviously, you're going to be looking fire on a face with the face skin actually absorbing the paint and looking way better. But that is my tutorial and how I would